So yes, I bought a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 in 2025, almost 2 years after this thing was released. Why would I do that? Well, the main reason is I wanted it for stuff like this. See, I'm carrying this monster rig here. If I'm out shooting and I'm talking about a camera, I want BTS of me shooting. I need shots of me shooting the shot, and that means carrying 2 rigs. And you can see the size of this thing. I got tired of this, so I got this. It's obviously really tiny, totally pocketable. It's easy to turn on, just flip the screen and up it comes. Now it's on. If I want to shoot vertical, I can just flip that and then say, oh, no, don't turn off, and then it'll stay on. Or, you know, if I just want to shoot vertical, I can, from the powered off state there, I can just press the button while it's in the vertical mode and it launches straight into vertical. It's just super versatile and easy to use. It comes with this mostly empty block that has a 1/4-20 hole on the bottom and then a pass-through for the USB charging. So if I plug that in there, that snaps on, and now I got a 1/4-20. And I actually have this tiny little tripod tabletop that I got somewhere. I don't know, I've had this thing forever. So I just put that on. Now I've got a little tabletop tripod on here. And when I want to take it off, this just pops off, and now it's even smaller. So I kind of like this setup. So that on, that off, and away we go. I opted for the DJI Mic Mini, not the Mic 2, which is the standard mic to get with this. The Mini is a little bit smaller than the Mic 2. The Mic 2 does 32-bit float audio internal, which is really nice, but I just like the smaller size of this one. There's a ton of menu options in this thing, and I don't need to go through these. There's a million videos on YouTube already about that, but I do want to show you my shooting settings. So first, of course, I'm in the Pro mode. Auto white balance usually, because I don't know, I just can't be bothered. Then there's the color mode. I'm definitely shooting in log. If you cycle through those, you've got like a standard mode, normal, and then there's an HLG, which might actually be better than log. I haven't run tests. One of these days I have to, but for now, I'm happy enough just shooting in D-log. And then if I go to the bottom, there's these custom adjustments. So in here, I've got it set to -2 sharpness and -1 noise reduction. Tamara told me that this is the way to go. I'm just trusting her on this. I'm going to link to her video down below because she's got a video with like 250,000 views on YouTube about this thing, and you should definitely watch her video. And then finally, there's the exposure. So I am in manual exposure, and I'm shooting at a 50th of a second because I'm shooting 25p, and I want to follow the 180-degree rule. I do leave it in auto ISO, and there is no aperture control. So if I'm going to shoot at a 50th of a second outdoors, clearly I need an ND filter. So let's talk about the ND filter. I'm using this filter pack from K&F, which is this video's sponsor. This is a variety pack, of course, of a bunch of different types of filters. In here, we've got just straight up ND filters in here, but what's really cool is you've got these ND with a CPL, circular polarizer. Look at these things, this tiny little circular polarizer on an ND filter. It's awesome. This kit also comes with a Pro Mist filter. It's got UV filters and a couple of other ones. The UV filter, honestly, is one of the most important to have because I really don't want to risk scratching the front element of this lens. And you'll see later on in the video one of the problems with this. It's a little bit too easy for the lens to get exposed. And so I always keep a filter on here. Right now I've got the polarizer, but if I don't, then I definitely have the UV. You can buy these filters individually, but this combo pack is definitely the way to go. If you want more than a couple of them, then you should probably get this. Let's take a look at what the ND filter does. And I want to show you exactly why it's so important for a camera like this. Before we get to the test, this is the case that the camera comes with. It's kind of a crappy case. We'll talk about it more in a minute, but it does have these cool little magnetic slots for filters. And so even though it's designed for the DJI filters, obviously these are the same size, so they fit right in there, which is great. However, they're a little hard to get to, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get your fingerprints all over them. So if you're gonna use this, make sure you've got a cleaning cloth because you're gonna need it. We ready? The construction has slowed down. Just kidding. A lot of the tests that you see that show why you want an ND filter are really stupid. The ones that show you a totally overexposed shot, then you put an ND on and the exposure gets right, that's so brainless. If you're overexposing your shot that way, then you just don't know how to expose. The ND filter isn't for that. Here's why you want the ND. So right now I've taken the ND off. The camera's in full auto mode and it's like a 0.002 of a second shutter speed, and you can see the motion. It looks very kind of staccato. It's very static. It's very, very high shutter speed or very low shutter angle if you're shooting shutter angle. And this is not what looks good. It doesn't look natural. This looks like iPhone footage, and we bought this thing because we want something different. So let me show you what happens if I put the ND on and I'm able to go down to a 50th of a second. Now we've got the same shot with an ND, and it's a big one. It's the ND 128 because it's really bright out here. But now we get natural motion. We get that nice little bit of a motion blur. I'm shooting at a 50th of a second because I'm shooting at 25p. And now as I move around, things just look a little bit better, a little bit smoother. This is what we want. We want that nice motion blur. See that bike going by in the background there? Should look nice and smooth, not all jumpy. This is the kind of shot that we want. That's why you want an ND. not to fix the exposure. One more filter I want to show you, and that's the ND plus CPL. Now, cute little side note here, the ND that I had before was the ND 128. The highest ND with a CPL was an ND 64. So how do you get from ND 64 to ND 128? Well, you can add on an ND 2. So they multiply, 64 by 2 is 128, so that would work. However, there is no ND 2. The lowest ND is an ND 8, so now I've got an ND 8 plus an ND 16 with the CPL. Is that right? ND8 and a 16 with the CPL? Yeah, I got that right. ND8 and 16. So that's really cool. You can kind of combine them together, and they're magnetic. They just snap onto each other, so that's what we've got. So here's why we want the CPL right now. Let me turn the camera around. So we're at the riverfront here. Let's get a good shot. I'll be honest here, it's a little bit hard to see the image on the Osmo screen. As I spin the CPL there, you can see the difference that it makes. So you can really dial in that beautiful water shot. You've got to ask the question though, why even bother with one of these when everybody's got an iPhone or an Android phone, a really, really good camera in your pocket? That's a great question. And I asked my buddy Terry Warfield why, because he loves his. And he said, well, first he said, watch my video, dude. So I watched his video and then we talked about it and he said, you know, a big part of it is that this isn't his iPhone, right? It's a dedicated camera and that's kind of nice. I mean, you can rig up your iPhone to do a lot of the things this does. You can rig it up to take ND filters. You can even rig it up to have external memory. But then what are you going to answer the call from your wife on your camera? Like this, it just gets to be a bit much at some point. So I like having a dedicated camera. Plus, one of the great things about this is the screen is looking right at me. On an iPhone, if I want to shoot with the main camera, the screen's on the wrong side. With this, that's not a problem. So what are some of my favorite features of this camera? Well, one of them is actually about the microphone. I can start and stop recording on the camera from the mic. So if I've got the camera, way over there, and I really wish we would just ban petrol mopeds in this city like they have in Shenzhen, China, where all the mopeds are electric. That's what we should do. So if I've got the camera mounted way over there, I don't have to run back and forth. I can just hit a button on the mic and start and stop recording. That's cool. This one's super cool. Obviously, you get a lot of throwaway shots. You shoot something, it didn't work, you want to stop it. Then you just have a clip that you need to throw away. Well, on this camera, if you press and hold the record button to stop recording, it brings up a little timer, a little countdown. And if you hold it for 3 seconds or something, it'll delete the file that you just shot. So you don't even have that on your memory card. That's so cool. Of course, the vertical shooting mode. I mean, look, I'm a huge proponent of shooting open gate. This doesn't do open gate. But if I'm just shooting something for the socials, I don't need the wide. I love how this works in vertical. I just flip the screen and now I'm shooting in vertical. It is really cool. Not a lot of people talk about this, but there's an iPhone app called DJI Mimo that you can use to control the camera, but also you can edit directly from the camera on the phone. It like downloads a proxy or something and then downloads the full size. I don't know exactly what it does, but the coolest thing about it is it will apply a look to the log footage that looks really, really good. So you can shoot in log if you want to edit it on your computer, but then if you decide you just want to do a quick reel or something from the phone, that totally works too. It's a nice little app. You got to check that out. So of course there's active track. I mean, it's just cool. Again, it's not always perfect, but look at the thing just moving. It's so cool. It's cool. I love it. Hi. Hi. Then there's the sheer size of it. It's tiny, right? This easily fits in your pocket. In fact, look, compared to my iPhone, this is the iPhone 14 Pro. This is not the Max. You can see it's the same size. It's a really compact little thing. It's easy to keep in your pocket when you're traveling, you're going to the airport or the train station and you want to get a shot. In fact, I did a whole kind of promo thing for Cinegear on my way there that I shot entirely with this guy. And because I was walking through the streets to the train station, getting on the train, going through the airport, carrying this, it made it easy to shoot everything with this instead of having to get out the big camera. I think it's awesome for that. So what don't I like about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3? There's a few things, not many, but there's a few. This case kind of sucks. It's the biggest problem with it is that the gimbal itself, the camera, can easily rotate around and become exposed. And this happens a lot. I'll pull it out of my bag and find the camera facing forward, which is one of the really big reasons you want to keep a filter on this thing at all times. You've seen that the active tracking can be a little bit jumpy at times. It just kind of skips around as you move. And also if you're walking, the gimbal is a little bit bumpy when you're walking. It's not perfect. So I do try to not move too much when I'm shooting with it. On a sunny day like this, it's not a problem, but the camera isn't weather resistant at all. So I'd be very, very reluctant to shoot with this in any kind of inclement weather, which is a bit of a drag because there's a lot of really beautiful shooting days that are a little bit drizzly and I don't think I could take this out in that kind of weather. Finally, my last complaint, it's pretty small, but it is an annoyance. The bottom of this is rounded. I mean, it's flat, but it's got a roundness to it. And while it does make it comfortable to hold, as soon as I set it down on a table, and I can set it down on a table, but if you set it down and the gimbal's following you, it'll actually rock. I've never had it knock itself over, but it definitely can rock as the gimbal moves. So I think if it had a perfectly flat bottom with corners on it, that would be a little bit better. So does it make sense to buy a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 in 2025? I kind of think it does. Look, it's only been about a year and a half since this came out, which seems like a long time, but the DJI Osmo Pocket 2 came out 2 years before the 3, and the original came out 3 years before the 2. So there's a pretty good gap in there. I would predict that you're gonna have, I would predict it'll be at least another year before we see a Pocket 4, till 2026 at minimum at some point. I could be wrong. If you buy one today and it comes out tomorrow, don't blame me. I'm just guessing here, but that's my prediction on that. I really like the camera and I think it's totally worth getting if this is the kind of shooting that you like to do. If you do decide to get one, make sure that you get those KNF filters to go with it. At minimum, get the UV filter. You're probably gonna want some NDs, maybe a polarizer. Probably just get the kit. It's a really good deal, and do make sure you use the links in the description below, please. That tells my sponsors that you're actually watching these videos and maybe actually paying attention to me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe. I'm almost to 100K. Help me get to 100K, man. And that's it. We'll see you in the next video.
I think I lost you.
Now I found you.